Nikki, thank you so much. Really nice to meet everybody. First of all, for a couple familiar faces I note here, thank you very much. Michael, appreciate you joining, and Bill, appreciate you joining as well. Can everybody see my screen here? We have the presentation up. Awesome. So what we are going to talk about today is how you can build the best high quality pipeline possible using referrals. And one of the things that people don't always think about when it comes to referrals is that it's not supposed to be like an off chance, maybe you get lucky, maybe someone sends you a lead their way sort of source. But instead, it can be a sustainable way that you get really high quality leads for your business. So we'll go over a couple topics. The first is about managing reciprocity. Then we'll talk about what makes referrals special, where you can find them, when to ask for the referral at different points in the customer life cycle, different ways you can ask the referral, what to say. And then we'll actually end with a couple minutes of activity where I'll propose a plan to everyone where you could put your own referral strategy into place. So the first thing I'll do is start with a question, which is take a minute and think about it. How many introductions have you made in the last month? How many people have you connected? How many people have you referred in the last month? Whatever number you just said in your head is the number of referrals that you can expect other people to give you. So the first principle of generating pipeline referrals is that in order to get referrals, you need to give referrals. Now, I'll talk about reciprocity for a quick second, which is, you do something for me, I do something for you. And note a warning, and that is that sometimes the way people approach reciprocity, approach referrals, is they have like a little mental counter in their head, which is, okay, I did something nice for Michael last month, so it's his turn to do something nice for me. And I would fully recommend against that. The way that you want to be thinking about it, I'd propose, is that you want to continue to give, right? Give as many introductions as you can to other people, give as many referrals as you can to other people. And the counter is kind of like a little bit of a mental or emotional gut check. So instead of you thinking about how many did I give that person or how many did I expect from them, you want to just kind of take a minute and do a gut check and say, does this relationship feel fair and balanced? Do I feel like in general that person has a giving mindset and I have a giving mindset and both of us are trying to help each other build their businesses? So that's how you want to be thinking about reciprocity, but the number of referrals that you can expect other people to give you is the number that you are in fact giving them. So what makes referrals special? Why do we want to try to get that as a lead source? Why not just invest everything in AdWords? Or why not do a whole bunch of LinkedIn marketing? Well, those strategies are good, but referrals in particular tend to have faster sales cycles. They will close more quickly and they close at a higher rate. Why is that? Well, first of all, they're pre-qualified. The act of a referral, someone else making an introduction, someone who might be able to, buy your solution, or somebody who, it could even be a referral for talent, might want to work with you. The person who's making the introduction has qualified that person. They've thought out and said, you know what? I think if I connected person A and person B, both of their lives would be better for it. So there's some layer of qualification. It's not like, the person's never heard of you before. There's some layer of qualification where they're saying, I think connecting these two people would make sense. The second is that somebody who takes a referral generally is coming at it with an open mind. So if I were to say, hey, Bill, I'd like you to meet Michael. Michael has a really stand-up business and he's doing phenomenal stuff in the payment space. And if Bill were to accept that referral, that would mean that when they start that meeting, Michael knows he's talking with an open-minded buyer. So you're also qualifying for the sort of people who are willing to sit back and listen and try to get excited about the thing that you're offering. The obvious one, or the most obvious one, is that there's a built-in trust factor, which speeds up the sales cycle and speeds up the close rate, because the person coming into it knows there is at least one other individual who is excited about this business, the person who made the referral, and presumably I trust that person. I like that person, which is why they referred me. So there's a transference of trust. The person who does the referring tends to have some credibility, and that passes on to you when you get the referral. And then also there's an automatic customer story. And what I mean by that, or a buyer story, is that when somebody makes a referral, they have had some experience with your company. They maybe have bought your solution, or they've worked with you in some way. They have an experience. So when you talk to the new person who you just met, you can always go back to that built-in story and say, hey, John who connected us? Well, here's what John liked. And there's this immediate understanding, there's this context where you're able to make the sale more effective because you already have that built in. So when we're thinking about where we want to get referrals, we just talked about why and how they're a particularly special quality of lead source. When we're thinking about where we want to go get referrals, it's a very simple question, and that is, where do all the cool kids hang out? Where are all the people who you'd like to earn referrals from? Where are they spending their time? And some of the questions you can ask to figure that out is, who do your customers talk to for guidance and advice? In fact, I might recommend after this meeting, going and ask them and saying, hey, if you're trying to make a purchase of a new technology, or you're trying to change around a process, who are the people that you talk to that you trust? Can you build relationships with those people, right? Which almost are a proverbial watering hole of your customers going to them for guidance, because then you have a built-in connection there. What brands do your customers trust? Can you partner with them? If you sell, for example, what Balto sells, which is AI software that hooks up with your phone system, well, maybe our customers really trust their phone providers. So maybe Balto needs to go and create partnerships with those phone providers so we can have a referral source that way. Ask yourself, what brands do your customers trust? Where do they go to learn? One of the common answers you'll hear is like industry newsletters and trade magazines. And I think those are great examples. But I think that ultimately people learn from people, right? Which is that if you think about some of the best knowledge you've gotten about how to successfully grow your business, you can probably not think of like a vague source like a magazine or a newsletter, but you can probably think of a person who you follow, someone who you get really excited about. You think, man, they just got it. Well, that's the sort of person you'd be able to go meet to potentially get referrals to their customers. What companies do your customers interface with every day? Where are they constantly bumping up against the same companies and the same companies and the same companies? Because if they're talking to those companies all the time, if you can get to know those companies as well, you have a built-in referral source there. And then last is, which watering holes do your best customers share? If you ask your customers, where do you go to hang out? Or where do you go in order to network? Those are the sort of questions where if you can make friends, like truly friends, with just one person in that group, then that's a wonderful way to be able to get introductions to the broader group. So how can you network your way into a single group that introduces you to a whole bunch of members of that group? We want to ask, in order to find referrals, where do the cool kids hang out? So we talked about why to get referrals and why they're special. We talked about where to go. Now let's talk about when. What are the right times to ask for a referral? And I think that the standard knowledge is wrong. The standard knowledge is you ask for a referral once you close the deal, and that's that. Or you ask for a referral once they have some huge success, and then that's that. But I think what we don't realize is that people can have a great experience with your company and not have just closed a deal. People can have a great experience with the company and not have just gotten immediate results. And here's a bunch of different times in the customer life cycle that they do that. I'll run through these briefly. They might be particularly excited about your company after your presentation. Maybe you gave them a great demo or you explained your product beautifully, and they go, I don't know if I can buy it. I just learned about it, but I am excited about it. In which case you could say, wow, what are you excited about? And who do you know that might be excited, who thinks the same way you do, who gets excited about the same things? After meeting new people in a company. So if you have a champion, maybe you have a deal that isn't a one-call close, but you need to meet several people within your buying team, within the company in order to get a deal closed. Well, if your champion, the person that you're working with most closely, introduces you to the rest of the company, that is a signal of trust. And that's a time where you want to thank your contact for introducing you to the rest of the company and say, hey, you just made one introduction to the rest of your company and you believed in us enough to do that. Can you think of anyone else outside your company who might be good to introduce us to as well? After a customer reference, so if somebody just gets off a reference call with one of your customers, maybe they're thinking about buying and they just needed a little bit of nudge to go over the edge. And you can ask them, hey, how was your reference call? How did it go? And if they say, oh my God, it was great, that customer you have just kept raving about you, they really love what you're doing. Perfect. Well, I know you haven't signed an agreement with us yet, but you can tell how excited our customers are. Some of the things that you liked, I think you mentioned that the customer really thought we had great service and our price was super affordable. Can you think of anyone else who would really appreciate great service and affordable price for the thing we offer? So that's kind of a way that you can tie in a reference call to be able to get a referral there. As part of the negotiation, if someone is really trying to bring you down on price and they say, I'm really trying to sharpen the pencil, how can we do this? The answer might be, hey, why don't we build into your agreement that you'll make 3 introductions for us? And that way we can give you a credit of X dollars. So you can package that into your negotiation. The easy one, when the deal closes, they're coming off that excitement of having just bought something and of a new partnership and a new opportunity. You can dig into that by asking for a referral when the deal closes. One of the things people don't always think about is you can also ask for a referral when the deal is lost. Most people that decide not to buy your solution probably still had a good experience talking to you and getting to learn about the solution. And maybe it's a timing thing. Maybe the timing wasn't right. Maybe they didn't get the right person on board. Maybe there's another priority. And once they tackle that priority, then they'll be good to go. You don't know that. But usually when a deal is lost, it's not because they hate you or they think your solution's bad. It's because there's a whole bunch of factors there. And if you've given your customer a good experience in the buying process, you have earned a little bit of reciprocity there, because we often, when we have to tell someone no, we feel a little bit guilty about it. So is that a time when you can say, hey, I understand it wasn't the right time for you to buy, and we'll come back to that in 6 months or 1 year, whenever is right for you guys. In the meantime, the stuff that you said you really liked, point A, point B, point C, can you think of anyone else who really likes those points as well? So that's a way you can ask for the referral when the deal is lost. Also consider that if you have a 20% close rate, which would be great, 1 out of 5 deals closing, it means 4 out of 5 deals don't close. So don't cut your referral source by 4/5 by only talking to deals that win. Ask deals that lose for referrals too, and you'd be surprised how generous people will be. Someone discusses that they want to do a big partnership with you, great chance to ask for a referral as well. First of all, that's an opportunity to validate the partnership. If they really want to, in some way, shape, or form, work with your company to generate some sort of mutual value, see if they can put their money where their mouth is, make a customer intro. Also, of course, that's coming off an excited sort of situation, and that's a good thing to dig into as well to keep that momentum going. When you hand off to customer success and they've bought, congratulations, they're getting introduced to your delivery team or your service team and the people who are going to be taking care of them. That's a good chance to say, I've had such a great experience with Mary. Mary and I worked well together. Now we close this deal. Mary, when I hand you off to customer success, can you think of anybody else who would have a similar sort of value, because we're going to give you a great experience. That's a good transition point as well. When service starts, that's exciting. So let's keep the momentum going. After you do an upsell, if someone is buying more of your solution, maybe they buy more licenses or maybe they buy a new product, That's a wonderful time to first ask them, well, what made you make that decision? Like, we want to learn so we can make sure we do that for other people. And then, can you think of other people who appreciate the same sort of thing you do? After delivering results, that's an easy one. If you go to bat for your customer and you win for your customer, that's a wonderful time to say, hey, I hope that you can help us keep our business growing. Can you think of anyone else who would appreciate the same results? After a customer interview, if they're going to do an interview for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour or whatever, talking about how much they liked your company, that is a big opportunity to ask them to take a very small step after that very big step, right? That they just spent 30 minutes or an hour, and write an email and see if there's anyone else they can introduce. So you're, again, capitalizing on that positive momentum. After an on-site visit, if you are visiting someone on site, which I think none of us will be doing for quite some time, but that is a real act of respect and of kindness to travel, to go in a car or a plane or wherever and go to where the other person is. You're doing a very kind thing in doing that. And once you leave, you probably want to leave them a gift because you want them to have some sort of positive relation with your company. But also, it's a great time to say, hey, it was really good meeting you on site. Can you think of anyone else who would enjoy that same sort of experience? And then lastly is after renewal, same idea that they're continuing to buy your solution, continuing to say they want to invest in it. And that's a good chance to take that excitement and see if they can give you other people who could help you grow your business. So then we want to talk about what to say. We talked about when to ask for referral and all those opportunities, but what do you actually want to say to earn that referral? Well, there is a single principle that is most important here, and that is earning a referral is about creating an association, a mental association between the type of person that you would like to talk to and you, your company, in the mind of the person who's doing the referring. So what you want to do is you want to make it as easy for the person that you're asking as possible to go, aha, I can absolutely think of someone who meets that exact criteria. Let me make you an email. So in order to create that association, it needs to be really vivid. It needs to be something where you are detailing exactly what the type of person is so they can create a mental image of the right person to refer you to. That also tells them, the person who's doing the referring, that I've done my homework, and if you introduce me to that kind of person, I'm going to give them a great experience because I've really thought about this. So the first bullet point might be, can you think of someone you know who cares about X, something that you can do really well with your solution? And by the way, can you think of someone? Can you think of someone? That phrase is actually broadly applicable throughout sales because it's a little bit of a challenge. It's a little bit of like, can you do it? I don't know. And intuitively, we all want to accept that challenge. We go, yeah, I can think of somebody. So that's a good way to start. The next thing is you could describe the type of person who is most interested in your solution. So I might say to you, the person who is most interested in Balto typically has a large sales or customer service team, usually more than 10 folks, sometimes in the hundreds. And that person usually has a very process-oriented mindset and a strategic mindset where they're always looking for technologies. They're always looking for better ways to do things with technology. And maybe they've explored AI, maybe they haven't, but they're definitely trying to make the people who are on the phones as effective as possible. Can you think of anybody like that? So notice how vivid an association I made, where if that person knows someone who meets that criteria, they're going to think about them. They're going to think about them. It's almost impossible not to. It's like the activity of, make sure you don't think about a purple elephant. And when you say that, everyone thinks about a purple elephant. Last one here is to create an association with a trigger, with an action. And what this essentially, the way you would make this work is that somebody might not be able to think of someone on the spot, but you can create an action where in the future, if they notice X, Y, or Z occurring, then they can go make an intro. So you might say the next time you hear someone say that some of their reps are just blowing it out of the water, but other reps are really struggling, would you be so kind as to make an intro to Balto? We put a lot of time and thought into connecting people in our network where we think we can help them. And if you'd be able to do the same, that'd be wonderful. So notice how there's a future event that I'm saying, when you notice X, that's where your brain should click in and say, aha, Balto. And you can do that for your company as well. So I'll leave you all with an activity here, and we'll actually take just a minute and do it. And of course, anybody who wants to do it afterwards as well can. And that is, how can we make sure we are starting to build this referral network? Let's list 3 pairs of people who you think mutually want to meet each other. 3 pairs of people where if you connect person A and person B, they'll both go, ah, thank you, that was great. Do you have 3 pairs of people that you could connect? Do you have 3 watering holes where you're like, yep, I know that all of my customers hang out here? Can you meet someone in one of those watering holes to be able to build a relationship with that person and see if they're willing to let you into their network? And then can you think of only 3 points in your customer life cycle where you can commit to asking for a referral? That commit is a really important part of it, because if you're like, oh, whenever it feels right and kind of good and it seems easy and it's no big deal, then I'll ask for a referral. Well, that's not a consistent system. That's not a process that you can run in order to be successful. And that can create some challenges where over time the action trickles off and you'd end up asking for way fewer referrals than you really need. So can you find just 3 points in your customer life cycle, or when you say the customer does X, Y, or Z, that's where I know in my brain I'll say, hey, perfect. Do you mind if I ask you if you could connect us to someone similar who thinks like you? So we went over why referrals are special and the rule of reciprocity. We went over where to find referrals. We went over when to ask for them, what to say. Thank you all so much for your time, and I will open it up here to questions.